guys, and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today we will be discussing the Real Sociedad game at Anoeta, where we won 2-0 in a rather uncomfortable game, but nonetheless, the best way I could put it was good enough. We take 3 points and we move on. We've obviously struggled at Anoeta in recent years. Against Real Sociedad, overall we've struggled in recent years because they're a good side. But going into this game so far this season, Real Sociedad have been quite poor, and especially in their home games, they lost against Rayo and Getafe, I would like to say. Rayo and Alaves, they drew to Getafe. So, they have had a poor start to the season. And, it was a game where we look at a Real Sociedad side who are perhaps not at their best and say, maybe we should be getting a win here rather comfortably. In the end, it was not a comfortable victory. It was 2 penalties, which, although people are going to try and make it controversial, I think both penalties were pretty much penalties. I don't think there should be too much controversy surrounding that. And Real Sociedad definitely had chances. They definitely had chances to win this game. They hit the post and the crossbar 3 times in total. And overall, they should have scored. Not once, not twice, maybe. And I think we can count our lucky stars in the fact that we walk away from this with a victory, with a 2-goal victory as well. I think we got quite lucky, but at the end of the day we take that. So what were your thoughts on the overall result of the match?
Yeah, like I said before, the main thing was getting the win because, of course, we have 4 points being Barcelona before this game started. Now we are just 1, but they have a game at hand. So the main thing was getting the win to avoid any slip-ups. If we forget the tactics and team final balance, etc., the performance, the main thing was winning. And to win these games, you have to be solid at the back and you have to take your chances. Yes, we took the penalties and we scored them. But at the same time, we gave up a lot of chances, so that's not good enough in my opinion. There's a lot to overcome. The good thing about the penalties, like Mbappe said, it doesn't matter who take the penalties. What matters is that they scored 4 out of 4. I think maybe that's a good thing because the goalkeeper doesn't know who's going to take them. Also that's maybe a good thing. And if you compare to last year, we missed our first 4 penalties last season. So this season is different. We scored our first 4 compared to last year. So that's a positive for me. Of course, there were some performances from our midfielders. They had their role in my opinion. And for me, the biggest positive for me is just the win. But 7 games in 21 days, we just have to take it game by game and just focus on the results. And I think that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely the penalty situation is very good. I don't mind the fact that both of them take it as long as they score. Who cares, right? Who cares? And obviously, if I like this situation where I don't like a same player taking the penalty twice in one game because that can lead to a lot of mental games. And so if you switch the penalty taker in the middle of the game, if you happen to get 2 penalties, is I think it's a very good thing to do, and messes with the keeper rather than the player. So I think it's a very good thing to do, and for morale as well. It's good that Vinny gave the penalty to Mbappe because I think it's good to just get those goals at the end of the day and hopefully finally try and strike that iron, try and get Mbappe on a bit of scoring form. So, as long as we keep getting the penalties and we keep converting, then there's going to be no issue with that. But let's talk about the performance a little bit. I think I want to start with the defensive performance because I think that's the main point of contention because we went into the half-time 0-0. That despite being, there was, I would say, 3 very, very good chances for Real Sociedad to score. The first one was of Lucas Sucic hitting the crossbar, and I think it boils back down to the midfield once again. We were obviously missing the presence of a defensive midfielder. Obviously in this game, Fede had to drop in as a pivot, alongside Modric as the only other actual like out and out midfielder in this team. And I remember a couple of years ago when we played Valverde as a sole pivot in a game versus Valencia. I think it was at Mestalla, I would like to say. And we went and lost that game 4-1. It was the game where Carlos Soler scored the hat-trick of penalties. And I remember after that game being so livid because I just saw the way that the team completely capitulated without the presence of a defensive midfielder. We needed, Fede's great, right? But he is not a defensive midfielder at the end of the day. And I think it was quite obvious with the fact that Fede loves to get up and down and he does all the stuff that Fede Valverde does. But you can't do that and be the sole defensive midfielder because that causes so many problems positionally. And I think you saw it once again in this Real Sociedad game, where the fact that, the lack of presence of an out-and-out defensive midfielder to hold their position and not roam, I think is just so important. And it prevents those midfield runners because, you saw Sucic, who got out from that midfield quite a few times, actually. He caused us plenty of problems, and it was that repeated run from Lucas Sucic from that midfield. He could have had 2 goals today. On another night, he would have probably scored those 2 goals. The first one was very well hit. The second one should have been a goal, and the other one was Geraldo Becker off the right hand side, cutting across, and hitting one, just trying to dink Courtois, but manages to hit the crossbar. So. Three defensive lapses where a little bit of movement, a little bit of change of direction from either the midfielders or the attackers, and suddenly the defense is in chaos. And I think that's a bit disappointing to see. I think the Sucic runs are obviously more due to the midfield, but defensively, I thought Ferland Mendy wasn't great, and I think this can continue on from the point that I've made in his last few weeks is that he hasn't started the season off great. I don't think he's looked very, very lax in offense. Attacking wise, he doesn't look great, and obviously in possession, he doesn't look as good as he normally does, which is really secure on the ball. And defensively, I just think he hasn't looked physically up for it in a lot of these games, and often Take Kubo gave him a run around today, and I think overall most of Sociedad's attacks came down that right hand side. Dani Carvajal mostly sorted things out on the left, on Real Sociedad's left and on our right, but a lot of their attacks came down their right and obviously down our left, along with Ferland Mendy was. So I think Ferland Mendy hasn't started off the season great, and alongside Fran Garcia, I think Fran Garcia's done pretty well so far this season. So at the start of this season, I think there is a real chance that in the next few games, I think Fran Garcia gets a few more games because I think Fran Garcia's looked pretty good and Ferland hasn't looked so good. So. That's definitely something to consider, but I thought Militao Rudiger looked fine. I thought Courtois maybe didn't look as secure as he normally does, but I wasn't too pleased with the overall defensive performance. I think it would look quite chaotic at points, but I think we do have to recall that this is Real Madrid and often the defending is quite chaotic, but at the end of the day, we kept a clean sheet once again somehow. And we just don't concede too many goals, even if we do seem so chaotic. We do seem like we're leaking so many chances and we could concede at any moment. It does seem kind of chaotic, but at the end of the day, we don't concede that many goals. So, what were your thoughts on the overall defensive performance through the 90 minutes?
I think it was quite poor from Milan's. We gave up too many chances. It's as simple as that. Another team would have punished us, not just a bigger team, because Sociedad is a good team and they've punished us in the past, but any team that maybe that were a bit more clinical would have punished us. So it was a bit concerning. It's never good to give up that many chances, but of course, sometimes in certain matches you hope that maybe we at least concede once that the team can win. Not to lose the game, but sometimes it's better to at least just concede a goal so that the team can learn from their mistakes, because I believe that we are going to go into another game against another team, and the situation is just not going to improve, in my opinion. So I honestly really hope that that's not the case. I hope that at the end of the game, that these players learn and how to develop, because it's a bit disappointing in my opinion, if we go to if we play Stuttgart, and we can see. But at the end of the day, we are going to rotate against Stuttgart. Some players might get chances, like you said. So we just have to see how it develops. So I would expect this to continue because it's not the same team that's going to be playing over and over. We are just picking our best team every game week. That's that we can use it to the injuries. So hopefully something can be done about it. But if I have to make a prediction, I would say that unfortunately this is likely to continue, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think injuries are something that obviously we've had to face a lot over these last few years, but it's only going to get worse from now on, and we have to be prepared for that. But just to bring you back on one player in particular, I spoke about Mendy. What are your thoughts on his start of the season? Because, like I said, I think he hasn't started too great.
Yes, of course, that in my opinion, I'm a bit disappointed by it because I, of course, expected him to of course, continue his good form from last season. But unfortunately, it's not been poor in my opinion, but it's not been amazing. So for me, the best thing is maybe just to keep rotating with Fran Garcia because you never know, this could be his season. He started it really solid in my opinion. He's been a good impact on the bench, so, and of course any player who comes off the bench is going to be good in my opinion. When you play for Madrid and you come off the bench, it's always easy to have an impact in my opinion. And that's the case because, let's be honest, the game is so open, so it makes it easier, for players to impact the game. So maybe that's why Garcia is of course doing better. We have to understand that as well. So maybe if Mendy comes off the bench, he's going to do better. But of course, Mendy is not a player who you're going to bring off the bench in situations, especially if you're throwing the game, if you're losing, you need someone to impact the game. It's not going to be Mendy, it's going to be Garcia. So maybe I'm happy with the lineup, I'm happy with who starts, and Garcia can continue to come off the bench and make an impact.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that obviously Mendy has on his side, I think Carlo definitely had an eye on Take Kubo and said maybe we need to be a bit tighter at the back. But I mean, if Mendy isn't doing too good against Take Kubo himself, then there's not too much use for Mendy in the squad. So it's definitely not something we're going to completely rip apart right now, but it's definitely something concerning going forward. So that's all I've got to say on that. But I want to talk about one player in particular who I thought had a good game, and is building on his so far a pretty decent start this season for Arda Güler. I think he's had a really solid start, solid but not fantastic, I would say, and I think this game was pretty good from him as well. I think his creative force was really, really exceptional in this game. I think he was the one creating a lot of the chances for Kylian and Mbappe, and Kylian and Vini. I think he was really good at linking the defense to the offense and creating those chances to try and set Mbappe and Vini free. So I think he was really good. The one thing I would have to say is there was one screenshot that Lucas Navarrete put on his Twitter where it was practically 2 blocks, which often we do see at this moment in time, but it was 2 blocks between the defense and the attack. And I think Arda Güler, if there's one criticism I have to say is I think he does get a bit too far forward, and I think I would like him to drop a little bit deeper so that he can dictate the play a little bit more. Not too deep, I'm not talking for him to drop between the centre backs and dictate play that way like Toni Kroos did, but just provide that link in the midfield, because right now the only player we have shuttling from the defence and to the attack is Fede, and that can cause us a few problems, especially if Fede is meant to be the out and out defensive midfielder. I don't know how much longer he has to do that. I don't know whether Tchouameni's going to be back for the Stuttgart game, but I think that's a little bit of a concern I would have with Arda Güler. But at the end of the day, he is an attacker. He's an attacking midfielder. He wants to play in that final third, and that is where he is the most impactful. But maybe for the benefit of the team, he just needs to drop the deeper that little bit and provide us with that little bit of cover. And I think maybe that could be really valuable for us. Just dragging a few defenders away from that box, and that causes a few more problems for Real Sociedad defense. So. That's the only thing I have about Arda Güler. What are your thoughts on his performance yesterday?
Yeah, I can't really complain much about his performance. I think it was quite solid for the midfield. I think, like I said, this is basically just in terms of the players that we have, because ideally he should be playing in an attacking position, a more attacking position. I'm sure when Bellingham comes back, he's going to, of course, go back to being the impact player off the bench, which maybe is a bit unfortunate for him because he's had a good start to the season. But in my opinion, he had a good game and he did what was expected of him. It was important that he played well because there wasn't any replacement for him on the bench yesterday. In terms of impacting the game, yes, he came off because Vasquez came on, but in terms of impacting the game, there wasn't any decent player on the bench who could have replaced him once the Brahim for a triple substitution was made. So for me, his performance was important, in my opinion. Just to have a good performance defensively was excellent, and you can't expect him to get the positioning perfect for now, but I'm happy with how the game went and how he played.
Yeah, and obviously he's building on his season, and obviously he won the penalty, the first one, the one that I feel is not a debate whatsoever. I think so far it's been a positive start to the season, and I think long may it continue. I just need to see a little bit more in terms of I think for the casual, I think it would be nice to get a few more goals and assists. Would be nice, but so far so good from Arda Güler. I do want to move on to that attack because I thought it was much improved from Mbappe and Vini in this game. I think for Mbappe, I think he was taking on his defender a lot more and he created a lot more chances as a result of that. So that was really, really, really positive from Kylian Mbappe. And I think there's one instance where, Mbappe was surrounded by four defenders and it just felt like at PSG, he would have been able to lay that off. But at Real Madrid right now, it is a situation where he had to play try and get past, and there was an opportunity for him to pass back to Rodrigo, but he missed that window. And I think it's just those little plays where you can see if that improves, if he gets that connection going, and that is where Real Madrid can take it up a notch. And then in terms of Vini, I thought it's much improved from Vini, taking on Aramburu in this game, and causing a lot of problems for him. I think the second penalty, for me, I think it is quite clearly a penalty. I'm obviously going to say that because I'm biased, but he steps on Vini's foot and then follows through. I think the follow through is the most important thing there. It's the fact that he just continues going and wipes him out. Basically, I think it's quite clearly a penalty, but others may disagree. Equally, I don't think it would have been that outrageous if it hadn't been given. But I think overall, I thought Vini was much improved in this game. Caused a lot of problems for Aramburu and definitely took his man on quite a lot. Won a few dangerous free kicks, and a lot improved from Vini. So I was happy with those two. And then Rodrigo, I thought was poor performance. More in the fact that I think he just wasn't there for a lot of the game. Maybe that's tiredness due to playing for Brazil in another disappointing international window for Brazil. But overall, I thought these three up top is much improved from the attack. And I think slowly but steadily it is improving, and I think it is only getting better. So we just have to be a bit patient and hope that it gets there. So it was much improved. So what were your thoughts on the attack yesterday?
I think Mbappe was better. I can't say that Vinicius was amazing. I think he was good. I think in the second half he got better. In the second half, in the first half, I think there was still some work to be done. But the second half is when he came to life, in my opinion. So that's one positive for me. Not just him, but of course the team in general got better in the second half. I think, in my opinion, yes, this was his best game. Like Ancelotti said, he was maybe a bit more fresher. As he only played one game in the international break with the national team. And of course, he is, of course, gelling more the team, in my opinion. He knows the lens he has to make. I think they're not getting in each other's way anymore. Vinicius and Mbappe, that's a big positive for them. But what are your thoughts on Rodrigo? Because I didn't really get an opportunity to see the impact he made with the team. So what's your thoughts on him and how he played?
I think obviously last game against Real Betis, I thought he was really good. Sorry, I thought he was really good on the right wing, and his overall positioning I thought was really good on the right. I think he tried to continue once again, but the ball didn't go down him as much in this game, and I think overall he just couldn't make as much of an impact. It wasn't like he had a poor game or anything. It was just he wasn't much involved, and obviously that might be different next game. It just depends on the nature of the game, and yeah, I think he can definitely improve from Rodrigo. It wasn't like a bad performance or anything. It's just he wasn't really present, and he did quite ghost. Ghost is the best word I can use here. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Rodrigo. But I mean, let's talk about Brahim Diaz as well, because Brahim Diaz now went down with a knock. He looks like he's going to be out for the next 2 to 3 matches, is what the reports are saying. I'm a bit disappointed we lose another player, obviously after Jude Bellingham, Eduardo Camavinga already down, and Tchouaméni is obviously already down as well. It's another player, and we saw that the fact that the first guy off the bench was Lucas Vazquez, apart from Rodrigo. The first guy off the bench was Lucas Vazquez, and he wasn't even coming on as a right back. He was coming on as a right wing, a right midfielder, whatever you want to say. And that is quite telling. I think when Lucas Vazquez is coming on as a winger, obviously he is a natural winger, but at this stage he's practically a right back. So it's a bit concerning from our point of view to see Lucas Vazquez coming on, and to be honest, it's him, Endrick, and Fran Garcia is probably our only substitutes. I don't think Jesus Vallejo comes on in any situation. So that is a really frightening sign, the fact that we've only got 3 substitutes. And we know that Carlo Ancelotti is not afraid to just use 3 substitutes and call it a day. He won't use all 5 if he doesn't need to. So it's definitely something I'm a bit concerned about. But obviously Tchouaméni is coming back, I would like to say, within the next 2 match days. So I think it's a difficult situation right now to hold. We lose another player, but what can you do? You just gotta take it as it goes, and we're getting closer every day to Eduardo Camavinga and Jude Bellingham's return. So we just gotta wait, and we just gotta hold out, and we gotta try and win every game that we can. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Brahim Diaz going down, and obviously now our depth in the team?
Bellingham is coming back, so that's, I guess, a positive. So I guess he can immediately replace him. Tchouaméni will be back as well. My prediction, how I want the team to line up onto Camavinga returns should be, of course, Valverde, Bellingham, Tchouaméni, with Mbappe, Vinicius, and Rodrigo. For now, onto Camavinga returns, and Camavinga would start. With Camavinga, either he starts for Tchouaméni or he starts for Rodrigo. But for me, Camavinga is a sure starter. In my opinion, Camavinga has to start. I know that he is playing, comes on and impacts the game off the bench, but he's a starter for me. It's a bit difficult to bench Rodrigo, but when you have a full team, I think someone has to jump down, unfortunately. I think that's why I'm not going to talk about Rodrigo even in this podcast. I'm not going to go that far. But I think that's why it's important that he had good squad depth, to deal with situations. Diaz is injured, but Bellingham is going to come back with Tchouaméni. So Of course, that's going to maybe put us in the exact same position that we were in for this game week that's upcoming. So, in terms of numbers, in terms of qualities, of course, Bellingham is a better player. He has their different skill set, different type of players. But in my opinion, Bellingham is going to have a good impact on the game. In my opinion, that he's going to come in and he's going to slide right into the midfield. In my opinion, he has to start and he has to contribute that way. In my opinion, so that's a good thing. That's a good positive for me. So yes, in general, we have Bellingham back. There's a hamstring, so maybe about 3 weeks, 4 weeks maximum. But hopefully it's just 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, and you just gotta wait. We've just got to hold on. Is the best advice. Obviously, it's not great to have this many injuries so far this season, but we just got to firm it like we did last year. We did it brilliantly last year to just hold on and keep going and just win every single game. Rally yourselves as when you face these adversities, and I think we did a fantastic job at that last year. We just got to continue this year, but. The next few games, quite a few difficult ones. Next game against Stuttgart, and then after that we've got a trip at home against Espanyol, then against Alaves on next week, and then Atleti away from home at the Civitas Metropolitano. So not looking forward to that one. But for the Stuttgart game on Tuesday evening. It's definitely an intriguing one. One of the new things about the new Champions League is obviously the fact we're going to play against teams that we've never played against before, and this has been one of my complaints about the previous Champions Leagues, is that at the end of the day we end up reviewing this and previewing the same teams each and every year, which is Inter, Shakhtar. We play Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, Bayern, whatever. We play all these teams over and over and over again. So it'll be nice to play against, VfB Stuttgart, who obviously we've never played before. I don't think, at least in my lifetime, I don't recall ever playing Stuttgart. So it's definitely an intriguing one. Stuttgart obviously last year beat Bayern Munich for the second place in the Bundesliga, but then went and lost quite a few players. If I was to read you the players that they lost Hiroki Ito, who was their, Hiroki Ito and Waldemar Anton were their two centre backs. They lost them to Bayern and Dortmund, respectively. They lost Shirazi, who we looked at last year as well as a potential striking option. They lost him to Dortmund, and they lost other players. But that is, that's a huge three losses to lose those 3 players. In terms of their start so far this season, I mean, we can't really make much of it because at the end of the day, they've only played 3 games, and so far this season they've picked up 4 points. Like, I can't really make much of that at the end of the day. So it's going to be a difficult game, one in which I don't really know what to expect. Which maybe that's something that could be exciting for us to find out. Whether Stuttgart are going to be this really exciting team that's going to take us on head on, or they're going to be this team that are going to sit back and defend for their lives. We don't know, and I don't know because I don't really watch Stuttgart that often. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an intriguing one, and something I'm really excited for because, like I said, it's a team that we never played. So that's something I'm really excited about playing in this new Champions League, because we're going to play against Lille, we're going to play against Stade Brestois, we're going to play against Liverpool, AC Milan, and so it's really exciting. I think this new Champions League for us poses new challenges. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the midweek game against Stuttgart?
Yeah, and of course, not just that, but of course it gives you the opportunity to maybe rotate the squad a bit. And I know that it's a Champions League, but it's easier to qualify now, in my opinion. It's not going to be a difficult task to qualify for that next round. It's a lot easier now. If you don't come in the first 16, I believe, or the first 12, I can't remember.
The first 8.
The first 8, you have another chance of getting in. But the main thing and the biggest positive for me is a chance that you can rotate players. Players can get opportunities to play in Champions League, like maybe Hendrik. Not now, of course, but maybe against Lille. If let's say in the first few games, he can have an opportunity to start. But I believe for this game we're going to go to our best 11, and rightly so. Rightly so, we're going to go to our best 11. So that's okay. The main thing for me is, of course, winning these games, and if players can get opportunities to play then that's a good thing for me. Hopefully Milan gets an opportunity as well. There's so much talking points that's going to come out of the Champions League, but the main thing for me is, of course, it's a new format, and hopefully we can win this format as well. It's because normally it takes us a while, to get acquainted to a new format like we did, and then when the new format of the Champions League came out. So hopefully this one we can maybe win at least in the first two, I guess. In the first two seasons, at least we can win one of them. Hopefully it's going to be this season. Hopefully the teams chill a bit faster, because now we are not looking like Champions League winners, in my opinion. But as the season progresses, hopefully we do.
Yeah, and my one advice is don't underestimate any team, because at the end of the day, if they reach this stage, they are deserving. And I remember saying this ahead of the Sheriff Tiraspol match a couple years ago. Not to be completely complacent going into that match. Same thing applies against Stuttgart, against Lille, against Brestois, all of these teams that we're going to play. We just got to be careful, do a professional job, win the game, and then move on. That's all that I ask. And maybe score a few goals as well if required, if you can as well. So that is it for today. Obviously today, later on, Barcelona are going to play Girona in Girona. And then Atleti are going to play Valencia, so a couple interesting games there. But yeah, that is it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's Los Blancos podcast. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye. Thank you.